Hello, my name is James Sullivan, and I am one of the co-owners of Double or Nothing Reads. Julie Grasso and I own that business, and we are so happy that you guys get your reads from us. And I thought we would make a quick video on crowing the reed. So most of us know that the crow is what we call the reed when we just blow on the reed by itself. So most of us know how to crow the reed, but do we know how to read the crow? So that's what we're going to talk about. It's more important to know how to read the crow than it is to crow the reed. So when you get your reeds in the mail after they leave our facilities, they might change, and we want you to know what you might be able to do to get them back in optimal mode. So I have 3 different scenarios that I run across with my own personal reads, and that as I'm making the reads, these are scenarios that constantly present themselves. The first one is when the reed is flat and rattly. Well, first of all, let me talk about flat. Most of the time, we think of the perfect crow of a reed as being C. And we want that C to be a high and a low C. So the crow ideally has 2 notes in it. They're both C, and you should hear just a high C and a low C. If you hear any note lower than a C or higher than a C, higher is less common. Usually the reeds go flat. So if you hear a note lower than the C, and if it has other notes in the sound, I call that rattly. So this one is a case of flat and rattly. We've all heard that crow, most likely. So this crow needs a clip. So when a reed is flat and rattly, we don't scrape on it. The first thing we do is we check the opening and make sure the opening is not too big. You can soak the reed, make sure it's fully soaked, and then just gently give it a little massage with your index finger and thumb. Just kind of soften the fibers and also close the reed down. Make sure that's not the problem, because sometimes that will fix it. So I just did that on this reed, and it's still flat and rattly. So I'm going to take my cutting block and my razor blade, which you always want sharp razor blades, and I'm going to take the smallest clip off of the very, very end of the tip. Sometimes I even hold the angle of the reed so that it's not flat, it's up a little bit, so that I'm actually kind of slicing off just one of the blades. So let's see. So now we've got a C and a C. So what I'm expecting when I put it on the oboe is for the tone to be focused, and that the whole scale is in tune with itself. Of course, you have to put more reed in your mouth, and blow a little faster as you go higher. But in general, it should be mostly in tune with itself. If I left it flat, it might not be flat on the tuner. It may be, but it might not be. But the high notes are going to be flatter than the low notes. So we'll call this reed fixed. And I want to just emphasize that I clipped off the tiniest little sliver. It fell off the razor blade. Well, here it is, actually. It is so tiny. It just looks like a little bitty, if you didn't know what you were looking for, you would think it was just the little piece that's going like that. It's not a millimeter. It would have like 50 of those clips in there. So this reed crows fine now. So if you have a cutting block and a razor blade, you can do that yourself. Just go super small, then always err on the side of going too small. Now I have a reed that doesn't have a bottom octave. It's attempting to have a bottom octave, but it only has just a high note. What this reed needs is it needs more out of the heart. So this one the fixing of this would involve a knife, and it would usually entail looking and seeing where the heart is too thick and just dusting over that area. We have the inverted V at the top of the heart, usually there's a spot in there that's actually too chopped in, too defined, and that's where we want to kind of smooth that over. The last reed that I have for you is a flat reed, but it's not rattly. At least it wasn't a few minutes ago. So again, the way we fix that is by the tiniest clip. But if possible, I would probably even go smaller on that. And as you can see, I'm putting the reed down to the thread. So my lips are just touching the thread. Don't go past the thread. Don't go on the other side. But my lips are touching the thread, and that's where I find the most informative crow. You don't want the crow to sound good. You want it to be an honest crower, and you want to try to make the crow as flat and rattly as possible. You don't want to try to make it sound good, because you can make it a C, and you can make your crow sound any way you want it to. But we're trying to be honest and make it sound bad, right? We could do another video on what we call the playing crow, which really is just the reed is in playing position. And we can talk about things to look for in that. That's a little bit more, it's less of an easy fix. And I would say the thread crow is the most important of the two. And it's something that you can, if you get a reed that's not working, that you can adjust it yourself. And we're always happy to help. Thank you. I hope that was helpful.